In this video, I'm going to show you the Hollyland Pyro 7 camera monitor, probably one of the most versatile camera monitors that I've ever used. I'll show you how to set it up as a camera monitor, walk you through some of the key features, and explain who I think this monitor is good for. So just a little disclaimer, Hollyland did send me the Pyro 7 to test out, but this video is not sponsored, and I can say whatever I want about this monitor. Now, what sets the Hollyland Pyro 7 apart from other monitors and what makes it probably one of the most versatile monitors that you can get right now is because it's actually a transceiving monitor, which means not only is it a monitor, it's also a transmitter and it's also a receiver. Hollyland did not send me the rest of the Pyro series of transmitters and receivers. However, if you do go that route with the whole system, you can have up to 4 transmission signals right from the Hollyland Pyro 7. Whether that's extra monitors like the Pyro 7 or the other Pyro series of transmitters and monitors. What is really unique about this system is that it's actually a hopping frequency. So it's 2.4 gigahertz or 5 gigahertz depending on the availability. Then also through the Hollyland app, you have the ability to live stream a live feed through that app as well. The Pyro 7 is a super bright display at 1200 nits and you should be totally fine in bright daylight. Hollyland does claim that you have a 1300 foot line of sight transmission. I wasn't able to truly test that without having the other transmitters and receivers. Having a versatile tool like the Hollyland Pyro 7 on set, if you have, multiple people on your crew, is going to be incredibly beneficial to either your small film or corporate shoot. Now, when you receive the Pyro 7, here's everything that you're going to get in the box. You always get the paperwork, and here's the actual 7-inch Pyro 7 monitor. I already have some fingerprints on it. You're gonna have a USB to USB-C adapter, the locking power cord with D-tap, and then these 2 powerful antennas. Now, the outer shell of the Pyro 7 is magnesium aluminum alloy, which makes it super lightweight to carry around on your rig. The top of the monitor features the on-off switch, but then you also have a couple function switches here that you can customize and make those shortcuts for whatever feature you want on the Pyro 7. You have 3 mount points on the Pyro 7. For any type of handles or extensions or arms that you want to mount to. And on this side as well, you have the SD card slot, which you can record to or upload your custom LUTs. On the back of the monitor, you have your NP style battery mounts, or if you choose to use the DC input, you have the locking input here. You have SD in and out, HDMI in, HDMI out. You have a headset and then a USB-C port. So I'm obviously mounting the Pyro 7 to the Lumix GH7, and I already have it on the cage, the small rig Black Mamba cage. But now I'm gonna toss on a V-mount battery so that I can power this monitor without using the NP style batteries. Now, I love the SDI option on this Pyro 7, but I'm gonna be using HDMI. And like I mentioned, I'm gonna use the DCI cable with the D-tap to power the monitor. So using the Pyro 7 as a camera top monitor is super easy to set up. So I'm just gonna power on the GH7 and then power on the Pyro 7. Now, I do wanna go over some of the main features of the Pyro 7 once you do get it attached to your GH7 or whatever camera you're using. Now, on my display right here, I do have the camera settings display through HDMI. I have that setting turned on. So whatever is on, my monitor on the GH7 is what I'm seeing on the monitor here. So there it is. And then to get the settings on, you just tap the screen and you can go through a bunch of these custom settings that the Pyro 7 has. First of all, you have your waveform and you can go into the menu and you can actually change the transparency, the intensity of it. Then if you want, you can move it around anywhere on your screen. So you have waveform, you have the vector scope if you're really trying to dial in your colors. If you're more of a histogram user, you can toss that on, move it around anywhere on your screen. And like all good monitors, you have focus peaking. You have zebras, you have false color. If you have some of your custom LUTs or a Rec 709 LUT, if you're shooting in, Vlog on the GH7, you can go in here and change your display LUT. And it even has a magnification if you need to really zoom in to make sure you're in focus. And if you keep scrolling, you can set up frame markers. You have the grid if you're not already using that on your display. You have some anamorphic D-squeeze. And one of the cool things about this Pyro 7 is you can actually take a screen grab of this and then overlay that screen grab on your image if you need to try to match up shots. And like I said earlier, this is a recorder as well if you need some proxy record files. Now, once we get into the actual menu, you can set up your wireless options. I have this wireless on, but I'm not using the wireless. I'm just using it as a monitor, so I can turn off that wireless transmission. So because this is a transmitter and a receiver, you can set the mode to either transmitter or receiver. And it is kind of slow moving as you kind of switch through these settings. So I don't have a receiver set up, so I'm not getting any video feed, but I can go back here and set it back to transmitter. Then you do have the broadcast mode, which you can turn on or off. You can switch the channels depending on what you're using. And then you can also set up some group pairings. In this display mode, you can set the brightness of the monitor, or you can change some of the RGB settings if you really want to dial in the look of your monitor compared to the camera that you're using. And then in the system setting is where a lot of these, detailed like input, if you're using HDMI or SDI, it should register everything automatically. However, if you do need to kind of switch back and forth on things, you can do that right here in this system. And this is where you would also set up your shortcuts. So the F1, F2 button on the top of the monitor, you can set those and change those different settings here. All right, so who is the Pyro 7 for? Now, I do think that if you are a beginner in the video world and videography or video production, you will be fine with the Hollyland Pyro 7. However, I think where this monitor really shines is in more professional settings and more pro style shoots where you might have a bigger crew. If you're a solo video creator, solo videographer, you'd be fine probably with some of these other options, monitor options that are out there. But I really think if you have a bigger crew, if you have a focus puller, if you have a director of photography, I think a monitor like this with the transmission, receiving options, this is gonna be a great monitor on those productions. But yes, I think beginners can use it. However, it's really gonna shine in more of those professional settings. Now, I don't find a ton of drawbacks to a monitor like this because of the versatility and the different options that you have. The screen is great, the screen is bright. I love the fact that it's not only NP style batteries, but you can also, use the DC adapter for the DTAP battery. And so it provides a lot of versatility. However, I did notice, and this might come into play if you have like a focus puller or someone along those lines in a production, is that there is a little bit of a lag if you are moving the camera around. And I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get a good shot of this. So the camera monitor compared to the Pyro 7, there is just a little bit of a lag. So if you're doing any type of handheld work or possibly even gimbal work, it might be a little bit of a struggle to make sure you're nailing that focus. But if you're on a tripod doing any type of steady shot, stabilized shot, you'd be totally fine with any type of lag that this Pyro 7 has. Now you should definitely check out this video that's popping up on your screen right here. I've got a free LUT pack for you, which you can just go download. It gives you great colors with the Vlog color profile on your Lumix camera. It's totally free. It's for you to use. It instantly transforms your Vlog footage into a creative look. Go check it out.